Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to answer which is the better dividend stock to buy, Intel or Broadcom. I'm going to compare these two dividend stocks across their dividend yield, their revenue, their operating profit margin, and their valuation to come up with the answer which one is the better stock to buy. So let's get started with the dividend yield. According to this metric, Intel offers a better dividend yield at 2.99% compared to Broadcom with a dividend yield of 2.17%. But remember, when you're investing in a dividend stock, the stock price can go up and it can go down. It can change your overall return in this investment. So it's important to look at more than just the dividend yield. And that's what we're doing when we look at these other three metrics. So revenue is an interesting metric to look at comparing these two, revenue on trailing 12 months, and you'll see what's most evident is this big drop off in the purple for Intel in 2022. Revenue has collapsed from over 75 billion in the trailing 12-month period down to 54 billion. This is a result of pandemic trends. Remember, during the pandemic, the earlier stages, people were building out their home offices. They were adding more computers to their homes because one computer for the house wasn't enough anymore. Everyone was working from home or learning from home, entertaining from home, and so you needed more computers, and people bought more computers in 2020 and 2021. But then what happens in 2022 if everybody or most people that wanted a computer bought one in 2020 and 2021? There was a gap there for consumer demand for computers in 22. It's still there in 2023. You can look at overall computer sales. They're down so far this year by more than 20% in the first 6 months. That's likely to continue for the next half of the year. And so demand has just been down for Intel. It's likely to be the case at least for the rest of this year. Meanwhile, Broadcom is experiencing boom times, revenue up to 35 billion. That's up tremendously in the last decade, and its prospects look good going forward. No troubles in the same way that Intel faces in the near term. The next metric I wanted to compare these two on is the operating profit margin. And here's an interesting scenario, right? Before the collapse in 2022, Intel generated a better operating profit margin than Broadcom, well above 20% and well ahead of Broadcom's operating profit margin. But after, late 2021, their fates switched, right? You could see that Intel's operating profit margin collapsing to negative 4.44%, Broadcom soaring to 45.3%. Now, the interesting thing is that they're going to mean revert longer term. I fully expect this to happen, where Intel's operating profit margin is going to bounce back higher, maybe not above 20% again, but certainly higher than negative 4.44% as the industry stabilizes. And then Broadcom, I don't expect it to generate 45% operating profit margins in the long term. Those operating profit margins are likely to come back down a bit. So the difference is likely to narrow, but it doesn't, change the fact that right now there's a big gap there between profitability among these two dividend stocks. And finally, I wanted to look at valuation, and I wanted to look at forward price to earnings ratio. And you could see that they are trading at a very similar valuation, both at 18, with Intel trading at a forward PE of 18.4 and Broadcom at 18.07. So, since their prospects are so different in the near term, with Broadcom having such better prospects in the near term, longer term, their prospects may be similar and closer, to be sure, than the big difference that exists right now. But since there is a big difference right now in favor of Broadcom, and the valuation is also in favor of Broadcom, it's selling at a cheaper valuation. If I had to pick between one of these two dividend stocks to buy right now, I would buy Broadcom. This would be my dividend stock to choose between these two right now. All right, but that's all I've got for this video. Thank you so much for watching. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now.